Welcome back, listeners. As always, what do we want to do, Carl?
Well, we just want to put good energy out there. No, I want you to do us a massive favor because it helps us help you. Is to like, share, subscribe, tell your mum, tell
your
anyone.
mum. Tell your mum. Specifically tell mum.
Tell mum.
Tell mum we said hi.
Yeah.
And that we know she's doing a good job.
Yeah. Mums need more love.
They do. They do need it.
They do a lot.
Yeah. And if you are a mum, respect.
We appreciate you.
We do. We do. And what we're talking about today is going to be a bit of a deep one. Philosophical. Transformative.
Transformative.
That's the vibe we're going for.
Yep.
Because as much as a big part of what we talk about every week, for the most part, is making a change, right? Mm-hmm. So behavior change, lifestyle change, improving your health, improving your fitness. We're going to come at this from a very different angle.
Yep.
Because sometimes it's easier if you stop trying to change yourself and you simply change your environment instead. Boom.
Just dropped it.
Boom. And I read this and I went down rabbit holes, but it was this idea that if you got a lizard, right, and you put a lizard in the snow, lizard is hating life. Depressed, I mean, probably going to die, but take that out of it. Depressed, miserable, right? You take that same lizard and you put him in the desert. Happy as Larry. You have not changed the lizard. The lizard doesn't change himself. It's just the environment has changed, right? And you can apply this to so many different things. Absolutely to your mental health, rather than trying to change yourself. Sometimes a lot of people would possibly be better served with changing the environment, removing the things that are causing them stress, anxiety, etc. Right? But when we apply it to our health and our lifestyle, it absolutely rings true as well. You can try and change who you are as a person. It's pretty hard. It's going to take a really long time. And sometimes, the problem is actually not you. The problem is the environments that you're in.
Yep. Because they're ultimately going to shape or influence your behavior.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without you sometimes even consciously knowing or aware that that is happening. And I guess that's the essence of a habit.
100%. And they say like we're all the product of our environment, right? And you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. There's a million of those quotes, but they're all true. So that's a whole episode, Tim. No, kidding.
Yeah.
We will help you out with this as well. But if you have been, I guess, feeling quite stuck.
Yeah, I think I was going to say stuck's the word, isn't it?
Yeah. You've been feeling stuck and it's like you just can't change. And I feel like a lot of people can put the blame on themselves. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of a different angle to view this problem, because maybe you are not in fact the problem.
It's not your fault.
No. It's like, if you keep on putting yourself in the wrong environment, maybe that probably is your fault. But short of that, okay, what can we do to make it easier for you to do the right thing and harder for you to do the wrong thing? Because if you think about it, if it's easier for you to do the right thing, are you more likely to do it? And if it's harder for you to do the wrong thing, are you less likely to do it? It's really just about stacking the odds in our favor as much as possible.
Yeah. And I guess if you know what you want to do and know what you don't want to do, then you can straight away set your environment up, to work with you, not against you.
100%.
So it gives you the power and the control back.
Absolutely. And, if we're the harder one sometimes is what you shouldn't do, right? That's the harder thing, that breaking the habit, breaking the cycle, so to speak. All right. If you know you need to stop doing something, right? Rather than trying to willpower your way through it, right? Or discipline it or what have you, it really is about making it harder for you to do it. And really, the key to making progress and discipline itself, discipline is not actually about just not doing the thing or doing the thing. Discipline really does come down to stacking those odds in your favor at the end of the day, right? All those people that, you gurus that post about discipline and all the crazy things they're doing. I think the thing that a lot of people miss is they actually like doing those things, right? So it's easy for them to do it. There's probably areas of their life where they don't find it as easy and they do need to use different strategies. So I guess if we were trying to give some practical examples, right? If we're trying to make things harder for us, Carl, how would we go about it?
Well, I guess the easiest way is just to make them invincible in a way, in terms of don't have them in your environment. Yeah,
Did you say invincible or invisible?
I don't even know. What did I
thought you said invincible, and I was like, I love where this is going. But I think you mean invisible. Sorry.
Invisible, yeah.
Right, gotcha.
Oh, boy.
It's like, we're going to make them invincible. Ooh.
Stop it. And the classic one is the old cookie jar analogy, or just whatever it might be. Whatever's your treat, your go-to chocolate, And I'm guilty of this. Having it on could be the kitchen bench, could be the kitchen table, whatever it is. It's like and like you said before, it's like as much as you try and resist the urge and temptation and your willpower, all that sort of stuff is great. But if it's a constant reminder that it's in your environment, then it's only going to be a matter of time before you give into it.
100%.
And we always liken willpower to like a battery. At the start of the day, the battery's 100%. It's, and you might not start at 100%. That's another thing. So, depends on how well it charges overnight. And obviously, as the day goes on and everything like that, you can resist it. But again, it's going to dwindle down in terms of what that battery is going to be. And then before you know it, you've given into that temptation. So the easiest way is actually just taking it out of the environment.
100%.
Or replacing it. So instead of having the cookie jar there, the Maltesers, whatever they might be, it's like, don't have it there for one. Or we've got some almonds there. We've got a bowl of fruit. You're still doing that habit. You still got it in the environment, but you're getting it to work with you.
100%. Yeah, I think that's big. And there's a really great study on this, which was on food behaviors. And they took a whole bunch of people. They had two groups, right? One was a group of dietitians, and they did nothing except they changed the environments. So I think they had three groups actually. So one group had nothing but junk food. Another group had nothing but organic, fresh produce, etc. And one group had a mix of both. And in each group, you got normal people, dietitians, etc. Even the dietitians, right? The more quote unquote bad foods they had around them, the more of it they would eat.
Yep.
And it's not like they didn't know any better. They absolutely did. They're experts in that field. And it's not like they didn't have good eating habits. They did. It was the environment that was the difference, right? It was the amount of times they were exposed to those things. The more times they're exposed to them, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. The more times you walk past the cookie jar, if you walk past it 10 times or 100 times, which one's more likely for you to open it and have the cookies? 100 times, right? You're 10 times more likely to. So that's a really underrated part of not just the habits themselves, but overall actually making a change. If you're on a broader stroke there. Because if we know that change is hard for people, and forming new habits is hard, absolutely. Whatever we can do to make everything easier or harder, depending on the way that you want to look at it, is going to be the biggest, I guess, predictor of how successful you're going to be.
Yeah, spot on. And it's amazing that, again, it's being aware of the environment and knowing what you want from the environment. And then, like you said, just stacking the odds in your favor is really important. Another classic example, with clients who might be struggling with, maybe having a few too many alcoholic beverages. It could be a classic, having a beer at dinner, and that leads to having multiple beers of an evening. The simple act of, okay, I'm not going to put the beer in the fridge. I'm going to put it in the garage out of the fridge. So if I want to get a beer, I have to go into the garage. So it's the act of actually getting up, going to the garage, getting a warm beer that's not refrigerated. So you need to then so it's this whole thing you're talking about, creating friction and making it hard. And it's less, or it's what's the word I'm trying to look for? It's not as irresistible in terms of you're making that not as attractive. Then that is that obviously is going to make that habit a lot harder to then actually do and perform.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good one. I did that with a client. I've told this story like multiple workshops, but it was exactly that. Because I was like, if I tell him not to buy beers, like that's too much too soon. I was like, just keep them in the cupboard. And then I didn't even tell him not to drink. I've been drinking heaps less. Yeah, but by the time even if I put it in the freezer, it's like 20, 30 minutes before it's ready.
Yeah.
And by that stage, I've just moved on and gotten distracted doing something else.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Right. So he hasn't actually changed.
No.
He's the same guy. If the beer's cold, he's going to drink the beer.
Yep.
So what do? We took away the cold beer.
Yep.
And there are absolutely people out there that would say this can be restrictive for people. And that's true. But not changing and being really unhappy is also really restrictive.
You need to earn the right to be
flexible and intuitive and all those types of things. Because, I've seen, I guess, people that have been too restrictive, sure, that can happen. But we're not suggesting this is a permanent thing, to be clear. We're talking about, well, if you can't not eat the Tim Tams, you're better off not having Tim Tams around.
Yep.
Right? And there's ways to go about it. I've absolutely had clients put them on a higher shelf, put them inside a container and put a sticky note on top of the container that says like, are you hungry or are you bored? And I literally tell them, if you are legitimately hungry and you do want the Tim Tam, I'm not telling you don't to have the Tim Tam. Just putting that extra step or extra 2 steps, like you're not going to see it. So you have to go and seek it out. Then you have to look at it. Boom. Is that going to work every time? No, it's not. Sometimes you're going to go, no, stuff it. I do want the Tim Tam. But a lot of the times you're not going to have the Tim Tam.
Yeah. And like I said, I think it's a big thing knowing, okay, what's triggering that want to actually do that routine, do that behavior. And then knowing, okay, well, what is ultimately the satisfaction and what's going to obviously satisfy that urge and craving. And then that, like you said, the body's very good at remembering it. We sort of go into autopilot where a lot of times we could be snacking and not even know.
100%.
Okay, well, and then you sort of like, I've done it again. Like, why did I do that?
Absolutely.
It's a classic thing our clients will always say.
Yeah. 100%. And you can look at this the opposite way when you want to start doing things too. So exercise is a good example of this. So why do home workouts not work for most people?
Because the environment.
Yeah. Right? There's other stuff you would rather do.
Distractions.
Right? You're distracted. For the mums, it's a classic one. It's like, oh yeah, but I want to get the washing done. I want to do this. I want to do that. So they're doing a million other things rather than the thing that they said they wanted to do. And there are definitely strategies you can put in place. Add some accountability, add some more structure, etc. But again, that's a lot of work versus simply changing the environment. So when people go to a gym, are they more likely to exercise? Yes, because they're in a gym, right? And the whole environment promotes exercise, right? Or if you go anywhere, like you go, I don't know, to a running track, for example, you're probably more likely to run or at least walk than just sit on the couch because there's no couch there. Simple. And you can go a step further where, all right, if you go to a gym, cool, you can just fluff around for a little bit. If you go to a gym and you've got a trainer there, for example, it's like, well, I'm already here. I may as well listen to what the trainer said, right? And all of a sudden, I'm going to be working harder.
Yep.
Right. And again, it's the exact same person who would not have done the workout at home, but now they're working out and they're putting in a whole bunch of effort, not because they've changed, but because the environment is different.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a big one. It's taken away the distractions, taken away the freedom of your options.
Exactly. It's like, okay, cool. I know what I'm prone to do or what I'm prone not to do. What do I need to do? And we are guilty of this in different areas. I'm definitely that person who, if I was working an office job, I wouldn't need that sticker on my back, which says don't talk to me, I'm easily distracted. So I'd get nothing done.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes I do need to go, all right, I definitely love chatting and socializing with people, but I can't be in this environment because if I am, I'm not going to get the things done that I need to.
Yeah.
So I need to be somewhere where it's going to promote me doing the thing that I want to do. It's going to make it easier for me to be productive.
Yeah.
And it's going to make it harder for me to be distracted. And that can be, put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Have app blockers. So like you don't go on Instagram or what have you, right? I use timers as well. It's like,
I think that's powerful. Timers.
Cool. Here, boom, I've got this much time. Let's go. And that's a way for me to, structure the environment to make it easier for me to do the thing.
It's funny you talked about, us and, we obviously work in a gym. Our business is a gym. Even for us, sometimes taking ourselves out of the environment, the gym, which is work, quote unquote, to then go to another environment, which is a gym, is actually a really good thing for us.
Oh, we'll definitely like push ourselves harder. We won't be distracted. Yeah, it's massive. And I think a lot of people that work in fitness, like personal trainers, are guilty of that. It's that, oh, you must work out all the time if you work in a gym. It's like, no, I probably work out less than I did previously.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of actually sometimes we need to take ourselves out of this gym environment into a different gym environment to actually do the stuff. And again, we're the same people in both scenarios. Nothing's changed. The environment's different. And we are all going to, thrive in certain environments and really struggle in others.
I love it. So I think let's sort of break it down in terms of, for the listeners, how can they then action this? I think if firstly, just do an audit of your current environment. Or before that, let's reverse engineer it to like, okay, what's the change? What do I actually want to get out of my environment? Then do an audit of your environment and then assess, is this environment giving me the best chance ultimately? So is it going to work with me? And then you can then take the steps to make sure you're setting it up to work with you.
Absolutely. So I think it's, audit, obviously assess what the goal is. And if you listen to this and there's something that you've been kind of struggling with, right? And I just can't get this happening. I can't stay consistent with it kind of thing. That would be the prime example. It's like, is there a way or a solution to this that's really, really obvious? Like if, I'm trying to think, you need to study for an exam or what have you, and I haven't been able to study because I'm always getting distracted. It's like, cool, if you went to a library, would you be less distracted? Okay, boom, that's the solution. And applying the same logic, like the food examples are a really good one. Hey, if you didn't have that food around, would you be less likely to eat it? Cool. Or if you went to the supermarket and you didn't walk down the chocolate aisle, would you be less likely to buy chocolate? Or if you still don't trust yourself, if you ordered your shopping online, so you didn't even have to walk near the aisle, would you be less likely to buy the chocolate? Like you can go steps back as well.
Yeah.
Because the big thing with this, like when I've seen it work best, is it's something that's very, very obvious.
Yeah.
It should be like, oh, of course.
Yeah. Why didn't I think of that?
You're right.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I know people that like clients we've had here that have got like long-standing rules with it as well, where it's like, no, I won't fill my car up with petrol on the way home from work because I know that if I do, what I'm going to buy when I get in there, right? So I'll only do it in the morning.
Yeah,
right? That's my rule. Or like I'll only fill up my car on the weekend or what have you. Like it sounds funny, but it's like, well, no, like if you know that's something you consistently struggle with, you just don't do it.
Yeah, no, I think it's spot on. I think there's going to be times and understanding that I think you mentioned at the start, it's the frequency of doing that behavior that really, I guess, instills what a habit is. So if it's taking you X amount to do the current behavior, like it's not going to happen overnight in terms of being able to sort of hack that habit and revert that and get that, positive change that you're after. So making sure that, okay, constantly assessing your environment, am I setting this up? But also then knowing it's just going to be the frequency of doing that's going to be the biggest thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if we're thinking about it, like it's a frequency of doing it. And it's also not having those setbacks early on in the process, which is why the environment matters so much. Like if you're trying to not have the chocolate and then on day 2, you have the chocolate, that's just reinforcing this idea. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. It's too hard. Versus like, cool. If we get a couple of weeks in without having the chocolate, like now we're talking. Now we're in business. I've proven to myself, going on to some of our previous episodes, I've proven to myself that I can actually do it.
Yeah.
Great. And then it's going to become easier to keep on doing it.
Yeah. I think it's so important to have wins early. We talk about it all the time, regardless of what you're doing. If it's making a lifestyle change, if it's getting into the gym, if it's training more, whatever it might be.
100%. And I think the best example of that is like the pokies, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're programmed. It's like, you're going to get a small win early on. Yeah, why? Because they know that you're more likely to keep on gambling afterwards because you're like, come on, it's going to happen again.
It just gets addictive.
Yeah, so like as much as that's a bad example, you know, don't want that. You can use the same principle, obviously, to like reinforce positive behaviors as well.
Yeah. Another one with the environment. This is obviously going on a little bit of a left field here.
I love it.
When you go into a supermarket, there's a reason why when you, they set their environment up as well. So when you go into a supermarket, there's a reason why first thing you go into is going to be the fruit and veg.
Yep.
Because you're going to load up on the fruit and veg.
And you feel pretty good about yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a healthy person.
What's coming though next, Max?
Oh, some treats.
All those aisles. And this is, you know, especially if you go, you know, they talk about, everyone jokes about not going to the supermarket or don't do grocery shopping hungry because you're more likely to give into those urges. But it is part of it because then you've got that sense of, okay, well, hey, I've done good here. I've got my vegetables and all that sort of stuff. So when you go through those aisles, well, yeah, I'm going to get some Tim Tams. I'm going to get some Maltesers.
Yeah. And even like you can't leave the supermarket without, like, what's the last thing you see as you leave before you get to the checkout? Like, yeah, it's like chocolate, chips, all those things. They're that whole row of them right as you leave. And yeah, there's a lot of money and thought that's gone into that.
Absolutely. So again, just shows the power of environment and the importance of setting your environment up to work with you.
100%.